Today on Dodson's Corner, we are rebooking UFC 309 MSG with bangers only. If you guys haven't seen the card it's not official yet, but it's basically official when you get websites like ESPN and Full Violence kind of posting these cards. They're all but official. It's honestly pretty mid for a card that could be the retirement card of Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic, their respective divisions' GOATs, and Jon Jones, who could be the greatest ever. So at Dodson's Corner, we had to save Dana White's butt again and rebook another card.
Let's do it.
Starting off at the top of the card, the main event, we're keeping it the same. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight championship. I honestly wanted to put Tom Aspinall in there, but
in a dream world, we would have put Tom Aspinall, but in our booking cards, we have to be realistic.
Yeah, I kept it all realistic. Everyone doesn't have a fight booked, and I think that all these fights could definitely happen. There's not a whole lot to say about this main event. In an ideal world, Jon Jones beats Stipe, probably subs him in the second round, and then we just get Tom Aspinall coming in the ring, standing on one side, and then maybe on the other side we have Pereira, and they face off with staring down Jones in the middle.
That would be insane. The thumbnail would go crazy for that video. I know we're getting views on that.
Dude, Instagram would go crazy. The amount of things you would see about it.
I think Pereira and Tom will probably both be there.
Oh, 100%. Well, especially now that Pereira and Jones are kind of friends. Do you see that Pereira's going to train with Jon Jones?
That would be cool. If we're going to get some sort of propaganda from Jones after he beats Stipe, being like, I've trained with Pereira. He's a strong kid. He's a strong athlete. And if he wants the heavyweight shot, I think he deserves it.
Imagine he gives it to Pereira over Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
That's what he wants.
I like how you referred to Pereira as a kid from Jon Jones. I think they're the same age. They're probably both 36.
I think they are. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're 37.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, there's not much else to say about the main event. Keep it the same. And we're also going to keep the co-main event the same because if I can see Charles Oliveira fight, I'm going to see Charles Oliveira fight, especially in a 5-round fight. I so badly wish that the Charles versus Arman fight was a 5-round main event of a fight night or a co-main, because that fight was so good and I wish I could have seen 2 more rounds. So in the co-main event, we'll have Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira in a lightweight fight that could potentially be a number 1 contendership match. There's not really, besides Arman, no real true contender. Seems like everyone in lightweight's kind of getting old and trending down. So one of these guys could give it one last push, fight the champion after Arman versus Islam. But I do think Charles cooks Chandler here.
It's going to be the same as last time. I think Charles is just too good on the ground. Chandler hasn't been active for 2.5-ish years. He's been training lots. He's been going through camps that have never materialized into real fights. But Charles has been active. He's been facing against Arman, Dustin, Islam, and those are all insanely Beneil Dariush. Those are all difficult fights. Michael Chandler, it's so hard to know what level he's at now.
Yeah.
Because, yes, he was good.
But he was never great. I never thought of him as a future champion.
No, he did. He thought himself as a future champion.
He thinks he's that guy.
Iron Mike Chandler, but he's not that guy. Mm-hmm. I think the Conor fight, I genuinely thought the Conor fight was just all he wanted in the sport now.
Yeah.
Because that's what he made it seem like. Mm-hmm. And now he kind of went behind Conor's back and took this fight. So as a co-main event, it's okay. It's good enough. But the way that MSG and Dana did this card the rest of the way down, that ruined it.
Yeah. Would you have rather seen this fight as the co-main event or a Pantoja title fight as the co-main?
This fight.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's more exciting.
It's Charles. Charles is so awesome.
I think it doesn't matter about the belt that's on the line. It matters about the matchups. They have to be good matchups.
Moving on to our featured fight, number 3 ranked Jamal Hill versus number 10 ranked Carlos Ulberg.
This was scheduled at 303.
And that whole mess never happened. But I think this is a good way for Jamal Hill to potentially, start the next title run, get another win. And I think with the 3 to 10, 11, 12 range in light heavyweight, I think that there's very little gap between all of them. And we saw number 8, Khalil Roundtree's getting a title shot here against Pereira. So I don't think that Jamal Hill versus Ulberg's that big of a gap.
No, it's a perfect fight to make. I think Ulberg has so much hype behind him because he's genuinely skilled in a division that doesn't have a lot of skill right now. So giving him Jamal Hill coming off a loss against the champion, Carlos Ulberg on the way up, it's a perfect matchup. And this should have happened at 303, but it needs to happen eventually.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen.
I think this fight would be banger. You know, like I think that this would be great on the feet. And that's what I was kind of want. I was like, I want an exciting card. I'm sick of seeing people laying on the mat doing yoga. You know, like speaking of exciting fights, moving on to our second fight, number 9 ranked Paulo Costa versus number 14 ranked Michel Pereira, who is arguably the most exciting fighter in the UFC.
This is a great matchup.
I want Paulo Costa to be like baby food for Michel Pereira.
He's not baby food.
He's not,
but he is on a losing streak of 3 now.
Yeah, and like I think Michel Pereira, I don't know if he has championship potential, but I think he has potential to move up into that potential top 5 of middleweight eventually. So I think this is an exciting fight that I want to see. Like I want to see Michel Pereira like do like a little backflip on Paulo Costa.
It's hard to tell how good Michel Pereira is because he's so goofy in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he gets finishes, and he is getting slightly more mature with the way that he fights and his gas tank, like the preservation of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But against Paulo Costa, who's been in those championship fights, this is a huge test for him.
But I think that this is a step that Michel Pereira can take because you kind of got to move up eventually. You know, you can't just move up 2 spots. At one point, you have to take a little bit of a jump. It's only 5 spots in like the rankings, and you always have to take the rankings with a grain of salt. But if Michel Pereira wants to move up into that next level of middleweight, I think that this is a fight that you should book.
I'd be excited to see this. On MSG, a card that lots of people are going to be watching, having someone like Michel Pereira and Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is a big name. Michel Pereira is exciting. It's a great matchup.
Yeah, I think with each card I booked on the main card, I thought every single fight here has potential to be fight of the night.
I like that.
And maybe even the best for last on the main card. We have number 4 ranked Yair Rodriguez versus number 7 ranked Josh Emmett.
This is a war. Battle on the feet.
This is like 3 rounds of like 400 strikes. Like this is just like like they're just gonna eat it all day. And we're seeing like Josh Emmett in December last year nearly killed Bryce Mitchell, and he just hasn't fought yet. Why has this guy not been booked?
I don't know.
He's likely dealing with some sort of injury, you know, or maybe almost killing Bryce Mitchell affected him. Like, you know, it takes some mental health leave. And like Yair Rodriguez, where's Yair? Why did he not fight on that 306 card?
Yeah, maybe he's taking a bit of time off after the Ortega loss.
Yeah.
That could be a reason. But I mean, if Brian Ortega could be scheduled at 303 after fighting Yair Rodriguez and he rolled his ankle, Yair Rodriguez should be able to fight 100%.
Yeah. So like, it's just another fight that I think would be an absolute banger and not really much else to say about it.
Actually, thinking about it more, the fact that Yair Rodriguez hasn't been booked for 307, 308, 309 is kind of crazy. So he must be on 310. Must be, because he's like an exciting featherweight.
Exactly.
Top 4?
All right. Quickly, just going to go through a couple of our prelims. So in our featured prelim, I have Peyton Talbot versus Ricky Simon. We're coming out here, and I booked this for Peyton Talbot to get another electric first round KO. You know, this is a card that could potentially be John Jones's last. There's going to be eyes on this card. Let's get some top prospects. Let's get some up-and-comers on this card so that the world can see them and they can really put themselves on notice. And that's why I fed Ricky Simon to Peyton Talbot. When I rebooked UFC 306, I had this as one of the fights on the early prelims, and I'm going to book it again because Ricky Simon in like the technical rankings of bantamweight is still higher than Peyton Talbot. I think we feed him another win like this, and then we see maybe he fights like a guy in the top 20, you know, like just outside the rankings before he really moves up.
Yeah, you don't want to build these guys too fast because then you get so much hate from the community. We saw it with Paddy Pimblett, where he just got pushed so fast by Dana White that people actually turned on him.
Yeah.
They have this problem of trying to make the next biggest superstars, but the next biggest superstars are going to make themselves.
Yeah, you have to let it marinate.
That's the reason kind of why Topuria is a massive star, because in my opinion, he wasn't pushed like some of the biggest guys are pushed.
He earned it.
He got a shot off of not someone who's amazing. He got a shot off Josh Emmett, I believe, but still, it didn't feel like he was being just catapulted up the rankings like Umar was, you know?
Or like when we saw, I mean, Akram stepped up, but that was an unranked fighter against
number 3.
Yeah, Robert Whittaker, who's like solidified like a top 20 fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel completely outrageous for Peyton Talbot to maybe do 2 more fights and then get a top 15, like that 15-14 rank.
Yeah, you go in and fight like a, who knows, like a Cejudo at that point.
but they all have to be impressive wins. He can't get like a decision win and then go for a top 15 guy.
Our next prelim, a fight that is the featured fight of this card on the main card, Bo Nickell versus Paul Craig.
Yeah.
Like, I know that Bo Nickell was on the main card of UFC 300. It's clear that the UFC is really pushing Bo Nickell, which is weird because Dana hates wrestlers and all Bo does is wrestle. But I do like the glimpses I have seen in Bo's striking game. I think he does have potential to be great. And having Bo Nickell come up and fight Paul Craig, who does have some name value, former ranked fighter, I think this is a great fight. It just shouldn't be the featured fight of a big pay-per-view.
It is crazy how this is a featured fight of one of the biggest cards of the year.
We have 307 and 308, which are just so deep. And then you have them in a sandwich of 306 and 309 with just top end talent and nothing at the bottom. Sucks.
I like this fight because Paul Craig is genuinely a decent fighter. He's had horrible performances, but he's also had really good performances. He beat Ankalaev.
Yeah.
Which is like just the most random win ever in light heavyweight.
Yeah, and I think that Bo Nickell has to be really careful because Paul Craig could beat him. Obviously, it's the UFC. And if you're Bo Nickell getting a loss to Paul Craig at this point, it's like you're another 2 years out from getting into the rankings kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think Caio Borralho just beat Paul Craig and then got a shot against Cannonier. So you see Bo Nickell get a shot against Paul Craig and then go maybe get a shot against like a 12 or 14 ranked, then he's in the rankings.
Yeah.
That's exciting for him.
All right, next up, another fight that has already been booked for 309, but we're just moving it way down the card to the prelims. Number 8 ranked Natalia Silva versus number 9 ranked Vivan Araujo. Not really much to say. Middle women's MMA. There's a chance it's a good fight. Most of the time, it's just a decision.
Natalia Silva is one of the most exciting women's fighters, though. Right now, she genuinely has skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited then. Just not excited to see her on the main card of...
No, her striking is actually amazing.
Okay, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Her last fight, I can't even remember who it was. Women's MMA just floats out of my head. You know, Natalia Silva, though, her striking was very sharp and she actually knew how to make space and kickbox rather than just like throw pillow hands like we saw Angela Hill do. Ugh, that was awful. So this is a guaranteed good fight.
All right. And our last fight of the prelims, we have Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders, another middleweight fight, another fight that is booked for UFC 309. Once again, just moving it down the card to put bangers at the top.
Was this on the main card?
It's either the opening fight or the featured prelim.
Dude, how are you putting Chris Weidman in 2024 on the main card of MSG? Are you insane?
Biggest sports spectacle, like arena in the USA. You know, everyone dreams of fighting or playing at MSG. And you have
Chris Weidman. That's crazy. I mean, look, it's good on a prelim because Chris Weidman has some name value. He's been around for a long time. But honestly, the fact that they had the audacity to put it on the main card of one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, you could book anyone else.
Yeah, there are so many fighters that have not been booked. They're just sitting at home waiting for a shot. They're like, Dana, call me. And then it's like
Pantoja.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll 100% be fighting on 310. Probably as a co-main to a bigger title fight. But honestly, maybe as the main event.
But give me Zhang Weili on a card too.
Yeah, Zhang Weili should have been on this card.
Yeah, I really wanted to put Zhang Weili, but I'm like, I want to see Charles too much. I'm such a Charles fanboy.
But Charles could have been good as a featured fight.
Yeah, but then can you do that 5 rounds?
No, but you don't need to. Charles submits him in 2.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, let us know what you think of our UFC 309 card. Peace.
See ya.